Welcome to The Jewish Lens, a podcast to discuss anything and everything from a Jewish perspective. Now, please help me welcome the man who controls the media, your host, Jonathan Rosen.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of The Jewish Lens. I'm Jonathan Rosen, and today I am thrilled to welcome an extremely popular rapper. He has performed with people such as Snoop Dogg, Madison, and Cage the Elephant. He's been named on a list of top Jewish rappers and also on the top Jewish TV reality stars of all time. Please help me welcome Rami Matan Evanesh, better known as Kosha Dillz. Rami, thanks so much for joining me.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Well, we have a lot to cover, but I want to start by going back with you. You grew up in New Jersey, but your parents were Israeli. So what was your
They
home
still
life?
are.
Well,
They
that's true,
still are.
yes. What is your home life like? Were you observant at all?
No observance. We grew up traditional values. And yeah, thanks for having me on, man. This is cool. This is great. I grew up Israeli. I could only explain it as like we did sports. We didn't do Jewish youth groups. I feel like it's
Right.
such an American thing. My parents like just, play
That's
sports. And I didn't do these Jewish camps. I never did a camp in my life. I went to sports camp. I went to things like that. I was in the YMCA.
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, like those are the things that we did. I didn't. Maybe I just don't think they knew. Didn't think they knew about stuff like that in the 90s.
Yeah, well, it's also such a much different time now because it's much more prevalent now than it was back then to do all these like sports specialty sports camps. It's a
That was
different
more
time.
soccer camp was more realistic. Wrestling camp. I didn't do
Right.
these. Now it seems like the Jewish life stuff is more out there. I just think like back then, like if you take immigrant parents, they don't really know. So, so that's just a thing.
Did you
Like,
grow up like speaking Hebrew in the house and all that? I mean,
hmm that's
very
it,
cool.
man. Hebrew in the house. Hebrew was my first language. And then I really forgot it. And then I really made an effort to go back and learn it again. So I moved to Israel and like I
Right.
went to Ulpan and yeah.
I lived in Israel for as a kid for a little bit too, but yeah, my father's a Mexican Jew, so yeah, I grew up with Spanish in the household all the time too. So
Beautiful.
when did you first start getting interested in hip hop?
Just with friend, but I would say like yeah, through my best friend and wrestling partner, like my boy Dale. Um, I call him Demole. He was, listened to a lot of Wu-Tang, and I was listening to, a lot of Wu-Tang. We lived by Staten Island, in Edison, New Jersey.
Mhm.
So for me, that just became more, I don't know, popular, like as an opportunity to just get more things, you know, being more susceptible to receiving just these the goyish music. I loved it. We loved the hip hop, man. I just like spoke to my soul. And
So,
then Eminem came out. I remember my best friend, at the time, my boy Yak, he was like living in Queens and he would come and visit his parents and like his like stepmom and a dad in Edison on the weekend and lived with his mom during the year and during the week. And that enabled him to, come out and poof.
so Wu-Tang was definitely among your biggest influences.
Yeah, I would say Wu-Tang was definitely amongst the biggest, that was for sure. For
But
sure.
when did you first start realizing that you had a talent for it?
I just loved rapping and I entered a rap battle and the first rap battle I
Casper.
entered was it was just that was it, dude. I was sold on it. I was totally sold on rap and once I got a couple cheers from the crowd, I was probably chasing that chasing that cheer. I guess, that's how you gotta think about it, really.
But were you
Um,
nervous at all going into these things? I mean, just
yeah,
here's
you're
this
nervous
Jewish
for
kid
sure.
from.
Well, yeah, but that if you're nervous in competition, you're nervous because you're about to, go against somebody, and that's just the natural essence of being nervous, I don't know else how to explain it. So for me, that's just part of the game. So yeah.
Well, First of all, I'm just curious. How was your parents' reaction when you like say, I'm really into this type of music, and they're coming from Israel? Were they any problems with
I
that? Like,
don't, I think like they just wanted me to be like out of trouble and sort of, that was it. I don't know. I've never really asked them like, what did you think of it? Like now it's just so part of my life. Like I understand I've been full-time music since
mhm,
2011. Since 2011. I mean, it's a long time to
right?
be in business for yourself. And
Who?
that's like all I do. Like I don't really, think about doing other stuff. Um, so what else? I think that you just grasp that since
Right.
2011. So my parents are basically like, okay, be successful, treat it as a business. So it's been so long. I basically was doing music for about not as a hobby, was still making money before, but I was completely full time. 1999 to 2011, I've been in business longer than I was not in business. You know what I mean? So at this point, um, you know, I'm if I spend money and don't make money, I mean, it's all reinvest. It's just been what I have been doing for so long, and I don't think there's many creators that have been like how long have you been podcasting, full-time podcasting for, or
Like around 4 years now. Yeah.
4 years, right? Just
Right.
imagine you've been doing it. Imagine you're going to say, I've been doing it for 12 years.
Right.
You know, I'm doing it now officially, like official, no other, not even one other blink at a job, that's 13 years. And honestly, I was kind of really doing it more before then too. It's just when I moved out of my parents' house.
Right. Well,
And
I'm not even doing this full time. I'm writing as well. I'm
right, but
basically
like
right. Yeah.
it's the entire thing. It's
Right.
writing,
Sure.
it's podding, it's becoming a person of I'm an independent brand
Agreed.
and doing that.
No,
And
it does take a lot of devotion to do something. I agree with you on that totally.
mhm.
I'm just also curious. Who are some of the other participants when you're doing these rap battles? Anyone on that?
No,
You
you
know.
wouldn't know anyone, but like it's like just, the original sort of New York people that are in
Mhm.
rap battles and stuff like that of the scene. And now, rap battling now, back then it was sort of like 8 Mile, and now rap battle is its own entire thing, and you have to prepare. I mean, it's like boxing, it's like you're preparing for a fight for months, and you go against somebody, and they talk trash online, they build it up, they have
Right.
pay-per-views. It's like they sell it as a boxing event.
So this was you wrote lyrics ahead of time, or you freestyled a lot.
A lot of it's freestyle, a lot of it, you write ahead, but the stuff now that they have, it's like so sharp. It's great. It took it to another level. I mean, back then you were rapping over a beat, now it's no beat. I mean, there's just, a lot of stuff. But now I'm on Wild and Out, and Wild and Out is really as big as it gets.
Oh, that's like so. How did Kosha Dillz come? Because you gone by several names. So how did we get to that? The progression of your names to eventually get to Kosha Dillz.
Kosha Dillz was always the name. I just had different variations of it because I didn't really was going full force with the Jewish shit. And I say Jewish shit like everything Jewish, 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 like pride. And, when I share something that's Jewish,
You know.
Jewish themed, it gets a lot of engagement. People love it,
Mhm.
and just that took a long time to really get to as like a person and a brand and something that like my community and stuff like that. And I was for a long time not really proud of it, but like originally the kosher deals was like a euphemism. It was a sexual reference,
Mhm.
business reference. It's like an entendre and hustle reference, drug dealing reference. And then it became like more of a Jewish pride thing last. So it had nothing, the pickles was the last thing I had to do with it. But when like at 2015 when I got on a big tour, the Kosha Dillz Pickle Rick had come out and it became this huge branding thing. There was like all this
Mhm.
pickle. They were selling pickle this, pickle that. But before that time, pickles weren't popular as like a pop culture item. Now there's billboards for pickles and that and third. Like Grillos and stuff like that are really doing well with the branding, but like people love pickles now. People add it to their dating sites and oh, I love pickles. It's like an identity and had nothing to do with it. But then you're like, oh, I'm Kosha Dillz. This is pickle shit. And
Yeah.
people love it. So it's just like an extra thing to play with.
Well, you're talking. So you just mentioned it. So you're Jewish and you want to identify as Jewish thing. How did the other rappers like treat you? Was there like
Well,
accepted by the community or like right immediately or no?
yeah, well, people accept you because of what you do, not what
Right.
your sound. No one gives a fuck about your name. I
Hmm.
really don't. But I cared because my name's Rami, and then people always misconstrued Rami as an Arabic name, and it is an Arabic name.
Yeah.
So for me, I was really stoked on being identifiably Jewish, but also people didn't use their real names back then. Like people started using their real name in rap sort of when white college kids started rapping in 2009. But I started rapping way earlier before that. So it wasn't an option because no one knew it existed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So imagine, if you think before all these rappers today, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, before then it was MF Doom, Fat Joe, Biggie Smalls, Nas. They're like nicknames and names. So it was like Kosha, and that's just what ensued. But I think it's important to note that because historically people are like, "Why don't you use your real name?" And you're like, "It just didn't. No one was using the
Right.
real name."
No, I think it's a great. I like told you when I first started chatting with you, like my kids are big fans, and they absolutely love all your work. But so
Right.
I read a lot about you. So you have a fascinating background, and you've overcome a lot. So there was a time when you were young, and I heard you speak about this a little bit. So you got into trouble with the law, and you went to jail for a bit. Can you just did that help change you personally, like your views
I think you
on
could
things?
say it. I was a drug addict. I
Hmm.
think Jews need to say it how it is. It's like, but I was like, the only reason why it's wherever you read it, it's like here's a stint with the law, and I've been having this like difficulty dealing with saying things and sugarcoating it for what
Hmm.
it is and what it isn't. If you smoke crack, that would make you a
Yeah, right. Crackhead, right.
crackhead. You gotta
Mhm.
say it. Say crackhead.
Yes,
Crack.
crackhead, absolutely.
Yes, right. If you do cocaine, you're a cokehead. If you smoke weed, you're a pot. Like the Jewish, I was a complete mess. And
Hmm.
I'm only saying it now because I'm seeing so much of I have mental illness. Like you're not a mental illness. You're having a manic episode and you're untreated bipolar disorder. You don't want to say because there's a stigma. You don't want to say drug addiction because there's a stigma around it. But that's essentially what it was. And now I'm sober 20 years, but
That's good.
it doesn't do it justice because I speak at these places and they want you to speak about your story and say, "Oh, I had a stint with the law." It's not a stint with the law is like you got in trouble at a protest or I don't know, or something like that. Like I did crime 1,000 times. I got caught 3 times.
Hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Or 4 times. Like, I don't, but the point being is I took all that energy and then sort of just rededicated it to what I do now, which is, I could enter into any space as an addict and steal and get over on people. And now I do that with my music and my career. And, I'm on shows that people would never think I would be on, because I kept showing up and talent. But I don't know. Yeah.
Well, so I'm curious. So that helped change you? Did that what brought you back to Judaism? Because you left your Jewish identity for a while, and then you embraced it again. And did that
I don't
that
think
led
I
you?
ever left it. I think I had for what it was. And I felt the way I did about it. And then, I think being Kosha Dillz as an identifiable Jew. See, I'm telling you, back in 2005, when like Modest Yahoo was like really like popping off, and I'm like sober a year, and you're trying to like my friend was in his band, and I'm trying to rap with him, and that was like the one act that we had, to do these Jewish events
Fine.
and concerts, and I'm like, I just want to rap and like stay out of prison. And like it's kind of like a solid goal. It's like a solid, legitimate desire. Like, if that's what you are, my parents totally okay with that. And if I think about that time in my life, um, people back then wouldn't even know what Rami was, like the New York. I mean, unless you're Israeli, but the Israel scene and the Jew, and it wasn't what it is now, you know? Like there was weren't, I don't know what the level of Israeliness was where people are like, oh yeah, Rami, like, because so many people that I know that are now in the Israel space weren't doing Jewish things at that time, like in 2005 to 2010. I mean, I don't know what you were doing or anyone else, but I could assure you that that was the case. So it was really important that I sort of let people know that the name Kosha Dillz was sort of like a magnet to
Hmm.
attract people and Jews into this sort of sphere. Modest Yahoo was doing minions after the show. Like people were like, you just meeting people, boom, 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 boom. Here's my phone number. Here's my phone number. Here's my phone number. Whatever. You just give it out, and next thing you know, you're getting invited to something else, getting invited to something else, invited to something else. Next thing you know, your entire circle is Jewish and the other entire circle is not Jewish, and then these worlds are colliding. And that's essentially always what I want. I want all those people in the room at one time, which is sort of impossible task. People are just comfortable where they're comfortable, and that's it.
Well, so how did you get on the radar of, like, I saw that one of the things that you worked with RZA, and we talked about Snoop ahead of time. So how did you get
Mhm.
on that radar to start collaborating there?
I would say like South by Southwest was a really big catalyst, the festival. I got in there with my group album in 2008. I did like a Black Jewish album. Um, with another artist and called Freestyle versus Written, and with this dude C Rays, and he was like Modest Yahoo's favorite rapper. We would freestyle with Modest in front of 600, 700 people, 1,000 people, like what
Mhm.
Music Hall Williamsburg, and then we would go on from there to I meet RZA maybe through Rock the Bells. Oh no, I showed up at a RZA show. I showed up at one of his shows when I was in Portland, and I went to rap for them backstage. Him, Old Dirty Bastard's son, and DJ Skane, shout out to Skane. And my tour was over. The tour ended there. I went there and they said, oh, you want to go up and do some time?
Wow.
So I went up and did some time. I met RZA, I think, when I just got out of jail, and he was at BET, and I was in a BET rap thing, and I showed him a picture of me with like an M16 drink, like when I was still drunk, like, and I made a CD in Israel, and I'm like, oh snap, I gave him the CD, and that was it, and that was like my pitch of like, hey, remember me? Of course he doesn't remember, like, whatever. So this was like 4 years after that, and then they let me do some time, and then they said, you want to come to the next show?" So I just
Amazing.
so I just rebooked my flight. I said, "Fuck it, I'll just rebook my flight." I went to Bellingham, and then yeah, I got like videos of like me like playing ping pong with RZA online and stuff. It was really funny. And then I was just performing my songs, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on tour with RZA," and then I would just add the dates and be like, "Hey, I'm on tour with RZA now," and then they didn't mind me, and then I would show up to another thing, and I eventually got a song with him, and eventually got a song with Cool G Rap and him, and then he would have me freestyle before he would go on stage to get the crowd hype. So, hey, y'all ready for RZA, like that? And the DJ was like, yo, worst come to worst, they boo him, and it's like entertainment, so who cares? So that was sort of like get up there and fail or get up and enjoy. And I'm doing that again right now, actually. I feel like I'm doing that again now, but this time I'm on the show, but with Wild and Out, it's very similar. It's like if you get up and you perform, you keep
Right.
performing. If you get up and fail, don't come
Done.
back. Yeah. But it's fine if you fail because failing is part of the show. So it's like, but like, getting aroused from the crowd is the ultimate determining factor for people to let you do it something again.
Well, since we're in the season, we're talking about collaboration. We're in that season now. I absolutely love the Hanukkah song you did with Nissim Black. So, is
Mhm.
there like I play that one on repeat a lot. Is there
A good one. Honestly,
it
it's
is a good
great, and
one.
it gets streams every Hanukkah. I mean, it came out 2021, so this is the third year.
I post it every year on Facebook and all that. It's a great, great song. Do you enjoy like collaborating like with other people? Like
Yeah. Yeah. Collaborating is, I'm so, oh man, I love it. I love collaborating.
you also. So here's one of the things I read. That you had the song featured in the Bud Light commercial in the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
how did all that come about, and how much did your life change from that? I mean, really, it's
I remember I was 2012. That was like my first thing. I think I had like $150 in my bank account,
oh wow.
tour, and I got a call from my producer, Jesse Shakin, and he really single-handedly was like, I bought the beats from him for this single day. Cause like at the time when I recorded this project, it was 2008, and people were talking about music licensing and like you gotta license your music to th film and TV. And I'm like, well, what is it? What do you mean? They're like, well, you buy a beat, but it has to be sample free. And then sample free beat, like it'll get. So I'm like, okay, like I'll buy a beat from somebody. And, no one was, to spend money on a career. Like I saved up, maybe I had 5 grand or something like that. And I just bought beats with the hope that someone would just handle it. And one of the songs we did got, added and changed, and I recorded like a new version of it in a rest stop in Colorado, Loveland, Colorado, with the portable, traveling sound recording equipment. And it was a big commercial. I think financially, definitely, and then popularity, people are like, "Oh my God, like you must be rich." So then people's perception changed to me, and they said like, "Oh, this guy's like really doing it."
Well, so your life changes like overnight, really. It's
Yeah, it was sort of like getting a record deal or stuff, but like a financial, just like basically you get the money and that's really it, and some promotion. And because people, it's like playing in the Super Bowl, then it's playing in
right.
like NBA finals and this, and then they renew it as a new thing and it's whatever. It's just like,
Well, speaking of life changing, okay, so you were on a video that went viral. You had been performing outside Madison Square Garden. Fat Joe shows up. So did any of that planned, or did you recognize him right away?
yeah, that night was interesting. So I went to go, I'm like, I'm gonna rap outside these and start making videos. And like the first night I rapped outside, I did like a rap battle with a kid. I was like drunk. And then I got like 50,000 views. So I was like, oh, this is sick. And then you're like rapping again, Knicks win. And hell, it's just like, this one's cool. And then that day I got there early. This is the craziest thing. I performed in the front, um, and somehow Mark Ronson saw me and put my friend Jordan Phrases. She's like a really big publicist, and she like sent me the video, and she's like, "You're on Mark Ronson's Instagram. He filmed you and posted you. He didn't tag you,
Oh,
but like he's like, respect to anybody that, raps over, this beat. It was a Lucchini by Camp Low. This is it. What? And it's a really like great beat to rap over. So then I go, my girlfriend at the time, I meet up with her, and then it's like raining, and I'm like, hey, just film me. And at this point, I had gone viral for rapping in the snow. And I thought this guy, DJ Premier, was going to come out, who's like a famous producer, obviously, has produced a lot of hits. And instead, it was Fat Joe, which I did not know Fat Joe was there. So Fat Joe walks
wow.
by, so I'm rapping about Fat Joe, and the Knicks win, it's raining, and I'm with an umbrella, and he comes back in and starts rapping, and he goes, and
Did
then
you did you see him right away? Did you notice him there at all in the crowd?
like he was walking, and then I'm like, so I just rap about whoever's walking by, and the guy's like, he just said, fuck it. And then he started rapping one of his old songs, which I knew. And the song was like, at this point in 2021, it was, a verse that was over 20 years old and from a famous Big L song. And it goes like, enough's enough. Federal tried to set me up, put me in cuffs. I'm like, I know this shit. I start rapping with them. And then I
Oh,
start
that's
going
great.
back and forth. And then it just goes on and the crowd goes wild. And it was like a New York moment, it was like a real New
Yeah.
York moment. And everyone was like, "Oh my God!" There were so many like things that were happening in the viral video. There was one girl who was screaming, going crazy, like she needed to stop screaming. It was so out of control. So people in the video were like, "That bitch, she's ruining everything."
It's a great video. For those who haven't seen it, definitely go watch it.
Yeah,
But it's
that's
a
right,
great
Kosha.
video. So like we said before, all right, so your parents are Israeli. Growing up, did you feel that connection to Israel at all, or
Real
was it
quick
instilled
about
in you?
that video did change my life because
Yeah.
that video did what the Super Bowl couldn't. The Super Bowl couldn't track who I was because it was a song in the background. It was like a different thing,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
This one paid me in Instagram followers. It paid me in just like non-Jewish fan base, like just huge uptick in all the urban sites, World Star, Shade Room, these sites with millions and millions and millions of followers. And then I got the audition to go on Wild and Out, which is another, it's Nick Cannon's show and it's a
Yeah.
all black television show. And then it kind of led to a lot, and it led to the Hanukkah song. It led to my collaboration with Nissim, and Nissim was like, all right, let's do it. And then that song went viral. So it was like a string of things that happened at that November, December of 2021 that like
Right.
really, really was kind of like the pandemic. It was just all the everything was changing, and it really shifted my next into 2022.
I love all that. I mean, you could see all that. I've seen you do other things with Nick Cannon all well on YouTube, but you could see just like the happiness on people's faces with the Fat Joe one. It's just like the surprise, a lot of it too.
Yeah, I think people are like, I was rooting for Kosha, but I don't know how much I was rooting for him, but now I really am
Right.
rooting for him. And that location where I rap, I've rapped with Gary Vaynerchuk. I rapped with in the front. Then I got booked by a guy that like bought Beeple's art, and he like tipped me $100. Some dude from Bangladesh. And then I played some party, and he gave me like two Ethereum, and I paid me like 10,000
Oh
at
my
the time.
gosh.
It was like $10,000 to like, and the guy was just so, and it was all from rapping outside MSG. And I would say like, then I rapped with the Migos. And I rapped with CeeLo, and it was just this area. There was all this celebrity action, and I was like, it was kind of like how you do celebrity podcasting and stuff. It's the same place where all the people with the cameras go, and they're like, "Hey, excuse me, Bruce Willis, could you give us any Adam Sandler?" And like, where they're gonna be.
Right.
So I'm like just rapping there, and they're like, "This is kind of cool." This guy's like, "Just here, rap." I'm just taking my phone out, and it's it's almost like it was like a life hack, I guess. And I was just like, this is a good job for me
Oh yeah.
as as I like doing it, and then I just go back to my normal life afterward.
Amazing. So let me get back. I wanted to talk about
Jewish
your
Jewish
connection
stuff.
to Israel. Growing up, was that instilled in you a lot as a kid, or no?
Yeah, I mean, I spent my summers in Israel.
Hmm. So
Israel
when
was everything. When I was wrestling, and like there was like one Lebanese kid, one Israeli kid,
yeah.
and we were all like, gotta get the Israel singlet. Israel, like we're just like immigrant parents, rep your country, Pakistan, India, Israel, Lebanon, like everyone's just doing their own thing. Egyptian, like I lived in an area where there was a lot of people that were passionate about what was happening, you know.
So all right.
What
So
was
when October,
happening as far
yeah,
as like where their parents were from, that's what you rep.
right. So when October 7th hit, what happened? How did that hit you? How did you find out about it that day, and how did it hit you
I was
personally?
performing at a festival
Oh, really?
in in the LA area. I won't
Yeah.
say which festival, but I really do enjoy this festival and this guy. And no, there was a lot of anti-Israel. There's a very prominent anti-Israel artist that was
Uh-huh.
there, and all their sets they yell "Free Palestine." So it was just, but I knew he knew what was going on that day. You know what I mean? Because I knew by the time the morning hit. So I scheduled a studio session. I said, "Oh, we got to make something," and it was Shabbat, and I don't post on Shabbat. I'll play on Shabbat, but I never post. I like clear the cache. I
Yeah.
don't do the internet. So I'm rapping, chilling, um, and then the news is just coming in, and I'm sort of dealing with life and people and texting and seeing things. And take a little break, call up my boy, my DJ, and we just sort of book it and we record Bring the Family Home
All right. Okay.
that night. And then
Oh,
I
you
go
did it
back
all the same night?
the same night. I recorded
Wow.
that song
Wow.
the same night. I got
Wow.
the
Okay.
everything. I mean, I recorded at like midnight, October 8th.
Right.
So like
Wow.
Um, you know, the next thing for me is, I found out my mom's friend's granddaughter was kidnapped. Like it was close to home, for
Right.
us because, my parents are Israeli. So everyone was sort of really connected. And then I had people, I was going to write a post and I wrote something. And then I saw how many people seen the post in my stories. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. I
Yeah.
got more views on this than I got with any Wild and Out, Nick Cannon, Fat Joe,
Yeah.
anything. I was like, the internet's reacting. And it's a good determination of what is to come. And I already knew right then that this was going to be a huge media war of, propaganda and lies and
Exactly.
truth and everything, just based on how many people saw my stuff. Because I already knew people were going to look to me to see what I was saying because I had dedicated so much of my life to Jewish cause.
Well, speaking of the prophet, you've done some incredible videos that where I've seen you go over and start interviewing the people at these at these pro-Palestinian Hamas rallies, and you do such a great job of it. So what goes through your mind when you hear the things that people are saying? Because you've showcased some people with some mind-boggling statements that come out of their mouths. So I mean, I don't know how you keep it together sometimes, but you're very good at it.
Thanks, man. The first interviews we did were actually at an Israel rally, probably 5 days later, and I was just interviewing some kids, um, and just trying to checking in on people's feelings. My buddy Andy was there. He does the text. My boy Matt would film. We're like, all right. And Matt was doing a bunch, and we put it out, got like 50,000 or 80,000 views. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
that's cool. Like the interview thing. Let's just go to the thing and just interview people. Let's try it. I never did this. I never did interviews. I did it with
right.
my phone and talking to people, but I never did this format of back and forth. And I then went and I performed the song, Bring the Family Home. And whenever I performed that, I think we set up to do a music video shoot maybe like 5 days after I recorded it. So we're just like week one. I went out to LA also to do a thing with Channel 5. It's a big YouTube channel. And they contacted me and they're like, hey, we're going to be here. Are you going to be here? And I'm like, oh, I'll be there. So it was like a Palestine rally. And they were doing interviews. So they wanted if they were like, if you're here, we'll interview. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna go out
Yeah,
because they need someone to represent on this side. So this is all week one. And that interview, they posted it and it did what it did. I posted it on
yeah,
my page and it was like, well, what do you think about Hamas? Because Hamas is a big reason why like a lot of innocent Palestinians, it's not about the Palestinian people. Like it's really about them who's ruined everything for everybody. And they're not bad people. I didn't throw Palestinians under the bus. And mind you, this is
yeah,
week one, right? So we haven't even really gone in or nothing. We've done airstrikes. And she goes, I think you're asking all the wrong questions. And I'm like, well, am I? And she goes, you're answering wrong questions. And she walked off the interview. And the way they shot it was kind of like funny because they zoom in on people's faces. They
yeah,
do it sort of like in a mockingly way. And it's sort of like a really dark humor. And that video got 1 million views. The
yeah.
first one I posted, first interview. And that was my first time I got 1 million views on Instagram. And I'm like, holy shit, this is kind of insane. And people are like, you need to do more of these. Then following that, someone says, hey, you want to make some videos? I said, all right, cool, let's do it. I went to go do some videos, and then every one of those videos hit over 1 million as well. I think almost or 500,000 or 5 million. And then just next thing you know, at this point, people are losing their mind and people are finding me from all over the world. And my inbox is like, I couldn't even look in it. And it's never been the same since that time.
I mean, you really do a good job of it. I mean, you definitely keep your composure. And you have this like smile, like kind of like, can you believe what these people are saying, kind of thing. So it's amazing. I mean, it's incredible to see. So
Well, hold on one second. I'm just actually thinking of some drink this. Oh. Yeah, I was doing these interviews and I thought to myself, what everyone's like, how could you keep your composure? And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
why wouldn't I? Like, if you're like behind enemy lines, are you gonna be like, hey, everyone needs to stop and they're gonna kill you? You know what I mean? So it's like you're not an idiot. And the funny thing is, I'm so used to trying to get interviewed because, as an artist, you're always like, I want to get interviewed. I want to get interviewed.
Right.
So I went to the Palestine rally in LA and I told my boy Kevin from Hamza Club, cool clothing line. They do a lot of Jewish themed stuff, and he's like, "Yo, let's pull up." And he's like a rapper, but he's like a clothing set. Like he has a clothing company, but he like really gets culture and shifting. And I'm like, "Yo, I'm at a rally outside the Israeli embassy. Come through." And he thought he was going to a rally outside the Israeli embassy, but it was like a protest.
Wow.
They were
Wow. Wow.
protesting the Israeli embassy. So, um, like weird stories started happening. Like I went to go wrap my bring the family home there, and I was just uploading everything. And one of the guys that was in there was like he was one of the guys that pushed the guy, Paul, I forgot his last name, but he was the guy that fell down in LA and died at
Oh,
one of
wow.
the rallies. And we were like, yo, that guy was in our video. And then you're like, you started seeing like some of the chaos that would happen. And we started, engaging in talking conversations. But at that place, they were interviewing, there was cameras from all over. So I went there and I said, hey, do you need to interview an Israeli? You know, I'll do an interview. And they're like, what are you doing here? You're like, are you crazy? And they're like, of course. And I'm like, yeah, well, people had no clue what was happening. And I thought that was great. And at that moment, I noticed how prepared they were. They had media and they were like, you're allowed to talk to media. You're not allowed to talk to media. You do
Yeah.
this, you guard traffic. And this is like days in. So
Yeah.
they mobilized so quick that I was like, yo,
Well,
how are you not letting people talk to the, like, who are you to not say you can't talk to the media? Like, what are we supposed to be doing out here? So at this point, I was sort of angry. And then I realized that if I become the media, I didn't like what was happening with the news. So I
yeah.
started doing my own news, essentially. I became a street journalist and I was like, well,
Yeah.
I'll find out what you think. And what I realized is that everyone thought they were right. And I was like, what do you guys know? Like, this just started. No one know, like, our people are still burning at that
Right.
time. A lot of stuff has changed, but that definitely set me up to get a lot of people to want to work with me and reach out to me because of this, which had nothing to do with rap.
No, it's incredible. Like I said, I definitely recommend everyone goes to watch your videos with that because it's fascinating to watch. So,
Mhm.
I mentioned I'm a writer in the writing community. There's been a lot of overt anti-Semitism with,
Yeah.
boycotts of Jewish writers and, posting blatant anti-Israel, anti-Semitic things. How has it been in the music community that you find? Do you find it along the same way or no?
Yeah, a lot of people just stop talking to you or unfollow you or shit like that. But I've been doing this long enough with Israel related to hip hop that people have
Yeah.
done that with me already multiple times throughout the years.
So it's
So to
old
me,
hats. You're used to it.
yeah, no, and a lot of people aren't used to it. You see what I'm saying? It's the first time they're experiencing it, but in 2021 I experienced it. In 2014 I experienced it.
Uh,
In 2010 I experienced it. In 2006 I experienced it to some degree, or 2007, 2008. And to have that many experiences, it doesn't, the law of diminishing returns. It didn't shock me as much. I do realize that if anyone's getting emotional over someone unfollowing, it's like because I thought differently. Like, and when you fantasize about a different reality, like you need to accept reality is that certain
yeah,
people are afraid to embrace you because they fear that they will lose work if they associate with you. And to losing work when someone makes their entire life about working and fear, it's really you shouldn't expect any different.
yeah.
But we like to fantasize and think that everyone loves us, but they don't. Like they're not going to look out for you. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine.
Oh, yeah, right. But it's also a different mindset. Right now, you worry about it a little bit. You also reach a point where you're like, the hell with them, like screw them. That's also
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that silently are watching you, and then like now I'm on Wild and Out, And then there's other people, oh, well, there was, anti-Semitism there and a black, I mean, and I said, like,
Hmm.
my life isn't based on succeeding because of
Right.
anti-Semitism. My life is based on succeeding in my art form. Fighting anti-Semitism is only possible because I'm entered a level of pop culture where people respect me for what I've done.
Yeah.
And then that's a byproduct of having the opportunity of a platform, right? It's like when an artist is on stage, you look up, but if someone's on ground level, you don't look at it. It's not the same experience. So when someone's on a bigger stage, you're like, wow, that's awesome,
Yeah.
and you listen.
Well, I want to ask you briefly about, you have the song out with Watermelon. You rap in several different languages now also. So just curious, how difficult is that for you? Because I've listened to them and you do it very smoothly. So how difficult is it to start making sense of the different languages to rap in?
No, it's just if you could use language. I know there's a lot of people that just have, they like we like this kind of, we like language. So I have a song in Yiddish. It's not really all in Yiddish, but I'm just saying some things in Yiddish. And it's cool because people love Yiddish, right? Are Yiddish speaking, in New York, right? And the tenement building world. There's a love for Hebrew by people who don't speak Hebrew. They just love hearing it. I love Omar, um, they love Tel Aviv, Habibi. We just like, I don't know what they're saying, but we like it. And I'm like, okay, maybe I could very basically rap certain things that would be for kindergartners, but some of the most popular music for is the dumbest thing ever. So I'm like, for me, it kind of suits who I am as a character because none of my stuff is so serious. And like the Watermelon song was like making fun of something. So it's a little bit controversial if we're looking about a world of canceling, but
Yeah,
none of those people would have liked my music anyway because
it's a good song.
they don't. Yeah, and it became like a big bop, with Or and we just did we do Wild and Out together and there's a lot of Christian prayer there and we're always like and she's like I would say a pretty holy girl. Her last name is Mashiach. Hey, what was it? Avatiach, Avatiach, Ratini on the mic, Kosha Dillz no Mashiach. Yay. Avatiach, Avatiach. You know, um, I think the map was my line. Hey, ask everyone who knows me. I'm indigenous to using this emoji. And then, you know,
It's a fun song. Yeah, it's pretty overt, but it's a fun song. Yes. So what are you working on next?
um, I'm working on more offensive songs. You know, I have a Hanukkah
Oh,
song that's gonna come out.
you have another one coming. Oh, great.
Yeah, no, I mean, it would be dumb not to release a Hanukkah song with a
Sure.
Hanukkah video. So like,
When's that coming?
I gotta shoot the video, and I
Okay.
released everything with a video. So, I'll probably release it maybe on like the 5th, 13th or something like that. I think it would be good to release then, and that makes the most sense for me. But maybe I should release it sooner and get on more playlists and stuff like that for Hanukkah. But it's definitely it's definitely what we want. We want I think the song's called Move. And it's like move, da-da-dun, 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 dun, 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 move, and it actually, and it says, I'm that Jew. Shout out to my boy Eitan. You know this guy,
Oh,
Eitan?
no, I
He
don't. I'm gonna have to
says,
look
I'm
at it.
that Jew.
Very cool.
Um, and I'm that Jew. Okay, so it's like move, and it's just like rapping like a rapper, but the video is gonna be like a lot of Hasidics. It's gonna look like
Nice.
it's like the conference of the Shluchim. It's gonna be like, oh, everyone's gonna be like dancing and
I
and
look forward to that. I'll
yeah,
have to
and
add
then
that
I'm
to my
gonna I'm gonna
playlist.
do a song with this girl, Gabriella Cohen. And I really hope we're gonna come up with a good we haven't had a session yet, but God willing, we
Oh. All right, so let me finish up with you. So like there. So I also saw that you're on Cameo now. How can people what can people do that on Cameo for you?
oh yeah, I freestyle rap for you. I'll like whatever you guys a Hanukkah present, I freestyle rap. Do
Yeah,
do 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 do, you know? It's easy. It's an easy way to make some extra, I don't know, cash. I made a couple grand. Like it's like, I'm on Cameo. I have a Patreon. I have a Substack. I have everything, you know, because, you got 30 things here. You want to
Right.
focus everyone on one thing, but the thing is people can't focus on one thing. So why should you focus on one thing?
Well, agreed. I'm all over the place as well. You can't just
But you're
stay in
not
one
though.
thing.
It's just like you have to podcast. You have
Yes.
to be a journalist. But if you get an
Yep.
editing job, you'll be an editor. And if you
Right.
want to consult on writing a book or starting one, you could do it. So it's like, okay, why not?
Well, when you're ready to do your life story, you let me know that too. Right.
I just did something with Leah Forster has a one woman show.
Oh,
And I was like,
nice.
hey, I want to open here. And because I want a one person show. And we got
Yeah.
to perform. And Modi was there. And because Modi came to the show. And it's like you just don't know and like why Modi's selling out the Beacon Theater. I mean, it's 2,600 people and he's been at it for so long. And guys like that and Elon Gold that are like a little bit older by 10 years, et cetera, like that nature. And I feel like they're just they're just cracking now, even though they've been doing great for years, but they're really just, the world is becoming very receptive to older success. I got on television when I turned 40. And
Wow.
I have a documentary right now called Bring the Family Home. I have an album, Bring the Family Home.
Oh, wow.
Documentary is gonna crush. It's the first,
When,
it's gonna be
when,
out 2025,
okay.
film festivals and the whole circuit, and it's gonna be touring, and I'll tour it as like a tour. Like
Well, when that comes out, I'd love to have you back on. We'll discuss it.
the thing is with, and I'd love to be back. The thing is with that, it's I went to 14 college campuses in May uh,
Right.
during the encampment era, and the encampments are going to be back. Even the encampments are
Yeah.
back now, and right now it's too cold. But you don't think they're going to be back in the spring? Of
Yeah.
course they're going to be back. You know why? There's going to be a new president. It's going to be back, and then we're going to run that. It's going to become. This is how it's going to become popular. You notice a lot of the anti-Israel films, the best thing about these films is that they become not popular, and then when there sparks up another war, the films become popular again,
Sure.
and they run it again. And I know for a fact that I'm the first person of a Israeli Jewish, pro-Jewish background that's hit these places and made it into a lighthearted way to approach a very dark topic. It's a really dark time. I mean, we all have friends that are connected to. I have friends that obviously Israelis that are being killed. I also have friends that are Palestinian that also have, family members that
Yeah.
have been killed a lot. And I look at that and say, like, how can I be someone who's a bridge builder? How can I reach two different communities when other people raise millions of dollars to do bridge building, but they can't seem to do anything, but their whole, brand is that. And I'm the one I got to self-fund it. I got to do it. And just like I got into my music career, now I'm getting into film, and it's like, it's still all Kosha Dillz stuff, but it's also introducing Rami Matan Evanesh to the world, speaking about myself in third person. I know it's quite cringe, but it's introducing that name because now that name could really flourish in a world where when I started, you couldn't use your real name,
Right.
so I'm happy to be where I'm at.
Well, I look forward to all that you do. Like I said, and
And
you brought,
sober 20 plus years now.
no,
So
that's fantastic. Well,
no
that's
more crack.
well, mazel tov on that for real. And like I said, you brought me cred with my kids, so that's great. I appreciate that too. But
I'm big in the family WhatsApp group chats. I'm telling
I
you.
don't. I'm on your WhatsApp group, I think, and your Instagram one, but as well. But I want to thank you again for joining. Look, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, and and like I said, I'm a big fan, and thank you so much for taking the time today.
Dude, thanks for having me on. Sorry I was so difficult to get down, but I'm like, once you got me, man.
Yes, absolutely. Well, again, this has been The Jewish Lens. I'm Jonathan Rosen. And again, a very special thanks to Kosha Dillz. And
Ooh,
please like, comment, and
and
subscribe.
subscribe. And
Yes.
check me out at koshadillsworld.com is my website. Hit me up.
Oh, I'm going to put it all up on there. I'm going to put it up all when we do it.
Drop me an email and say you found me on this podcast. That'd be really cool. Book us for a show. Book me for a cameo. Join
Yes.
my Substack, coachadills.substack, and be on my email list. Subscribe to my Patreon. Join my Instagram groups. Kosha's Corner, where I send inspirational content. And then you could also, once you join there, you'll get my WhatsApp group, which you could also join. And then you could also join my text list. And is there anything else that you could do? You could also like my Facebook page and follow me on Instagram and also circle back on Twitter. Am I forgetting anything? I don't know.
I think we got it all, but I have to join a couple of them myself. I'm on most of them already.
Oh, we got TikTok, you know,
And
you're never too old for TikTok. We got TikTok.
And you ever hit to South Florida? Let me know.
Beautiful. Thanks so much.
Thanks for tuning in to The Jewish Lens, where all items used was strictly kosher.